Remarkable, huh? Apparently this tweet sent out by Yuji Naka that he had basically mixed feelings about Sonic's run on non-Sega hardware. It's both sad and happy at the same time for the last 20 years. Yes, I mean, I understand, Sega, has been a publisher for over 2 decades already. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle obviously being the first game coming out for the Nintendo GameCube, which is by far one of the best ports they've ever did. And as a result, you're realizing, had Sega still became a console manufacturer, would they still be alive today? My answer is probably not. I honestly think that Sega was going to leave the console industry one way or another, because you have to realize, the demise, basically the damage left by the Sega Saturn has already basically ruined the reputation in a way, well, at least here in the States. In Japan, obviously, the Sega Saturn was very successful. But here in the States, the Saturn was just a flop. It was overpriced. No games could be made for it realistically because it was just an architectural nightmare. Compared to the PlayStation 1, which was not only cheaper, but it was better quality game. But you also had all that third party for that console, and the rest is history. Nintendo did their own thing, obviously, with the Nintendo 64, the cartridges. They were able to make it work because of their intellectual properties. Now, for Sega, on the other hand, aside from Sonic, what other realistic intellectual properties could have possibly saved them in the console industry? Not much. They only had maybe like 1, 2, or 3 good properties, and then what? You have to realize that at that time, yeah, Sonic could sell a console, but what if you need other, supporting cast members to sell a console? And sadly, Sega doesn't have that. Back then they didn't have that. Right now, in a way, you kind of do, obviously. But you have to realize, Sega made the right, smart business decision by becoming a third-party publisher. I understand it can be bittersweet for a lot of people, wishing that, Sega never gave up in the console industry. But you have to realize the manufacturing costs to create a console, this and that. Sega would have been in a worse situation financially than they already were, in the later years. So I honestly think they made the right decision. Y'all may be a little bit upset that we never got a Dreamcast 2, or they just basically gave up on the Dreamcast. But at the end of the day, look, business is business, you gotta do what's best for the company. I understand Sega had to deal with some financial woes in the last 2 decades. Some of it being good, some of it being bad, but at the end of the day, they're still around, they're alive, thankfully. And I like them better as a third-party publisher. Me and my cousin, obviously, back in the day, that was a big deal because at the time, he was basically a Nintendo console owner. He didn't own any of the other consoles. So for him, it was very, very exciting. And for me too, obviously, you could get both Mario and Sonic games simultaneously at the same time under one umbrella. Now I understand, yes, you did get ports, obviously, to Microsoft's console and Sony's. Sony's console, obviously, they did have a rough patch, obviously, with some of the ports early on, like Sonic Heroes, Shadow the Hedgehog, being some of the worst ports because they run at 30 frames per second, and the lighting and shading, the lighting effects are not that good compared to the GameCube version, which is more superior. And obviously, the PlayStation 3 versions of all the Sonic games, really, the frame rate was a little off compared to the Microsoft version of those games, especially Sonic 06, where the load times were horrendous. It could go anywhere from 30 seconds up to a full minute. I'm not kidding you on that. But overall, Sega right now, they're doing great right now. 2022 is their year. Now, I understand, they're doing great right now, as a brand for Sonic. You have to realize that Sonic is a brand, being on movies, TV shows, licensing deals for toys, merchandise, anything you can get them on. Sega will be fine financially. That's not the problem. The video games, on the other hand, I'm going to tell you a dark secret about that. I honestly think that Sega or Sonic team, for their video game industry, I think the games are just going to be mediocre moving on forward, because they can realize they can get away with that. Because to them, the revenue from video games isn't really that much to them. They still got the mobile game departments making them a lot of money here and there. So at the end of the day, and plus all the licensing deals they're getting, video game money is nothing but chump change to them. And I fear that Sonic Frontiers is going to be a mediocre game at best. I just want you all to get that thought into your head right now. before you have to deal with the bitter disappointment news later down the road when you see the gameplay trailer. That's all I gotta say right now. Let me know what y'all think, and I gotta go. Peace out.